Welcome, everyone, to the place where we promise not to pull a Cleveland and trade away our best asset. My co-hosts, Spencer Strand and Brock Malik. I'm Travis Brzezinski, and this is the Cover 3 Show. Welcome, boys.
Hello there.
Let's do it.
All right. In episode 2, we will be recapping Week 2's events. We'll be talking about the big Trent Richardson trade. We'll be previewing Week 3, as well as making some picks and some bold predictions. So let's get it going. One thing we need to get taken care of is Brock's Defensive Player of the Year that he promised us this week he would give.
I did promise that. The first thing I do want to say before I say anything about that, though, is I love Spencer Strand's yellow headband along with the yellow banner at the bottom. I think that was a really cute thing.
I appreciate it.
Away. So, just saying, I like it.
I'd agree with that.
Hey, let's focus on the sports, all right? Thanks, guys.
All right, Brock, who do you have for Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Dude, Brock's frozen.
All right, we'll get back to that, folks. We'll just move right along to the Trent Richardson trade. As you may know, Trent Richardson was traded to the Colts yesterday for a first-round pick in the 2014 draft. Spencer, what do you think of the trade, and who do you think ultimately won?
I was a little shocked by the trade. I can't believe that the Browns really gave up their best player. Then again, I think the Colts, ultimately won the trade, I guess, because they get a premier running back to go along with that offense and Andrew Luck. But I guess all I've been hearing is the Browns are just stockpiling draft picks, but I feel like they've been doing that for years, trying to rebuild for years now. So I don't really know what to think of the move.
I agree with you on both fronts. I think actually both teams won. I know that's a political answer. If I had to pick one team or the other, I would probably say the Colts because winning now is the most important thing. You never know about future assets or future picks, but I do like it from the Cleveland perspective that now I believe they have 10 picks in next year's draft.
Yeah.
And 7 or 8 in the first couple rounds. I mean, they are destined to get probably their quarterback of the future. I say that with quotes because you just never know. But I do like it because Cleveland's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I believe both teams did well in this trade.
I agree.
So let's move right along to our team power rankings. We're going to give our top 5 teams starting from 5 to 1. Hopefully Brock will be joining us soon, so that way we can get some of his intake on this as well. So, Spencer, who do you have from 5 to 1 in your power rankings?
All right, starting with 1, it's going to go down to it's going to start with Broncos, and number 2, Seahawks. I know Seahawks had a great performance. A lot of people are picking them to be the number 1 team right now, but I'm going to still stick with my Broncos right here now. And then for 3rd, I'm going to go with the Niners. Tough loss against probably the best team in the NFC. 4th on the list, we're going to do the Packers, Green Bay, and then 5th on the list, we're going to do, I can't think of who else I had. Houston Texans.
Okay. I definitely like your top 5. I know mine is similar. And look at who we have back.
Wow, thanks for joining us.
The legend, Brock Malik.
Technical difficulties are real.
We understand, Brock.
They got me.
I believe the quote on the bandana probably KO'd you.
It knocked me right out.
I think Spencer has some superpowers.
Did you guys hear anything I said whatsoever?
No. So we're going to get back to you. Right now we're just doing our top 5, but we'll get back to you about your Defensive Player of the Year and what you think about the Trent Richardson trade. I'm just going to finish up my top 5, and then we'll give you a chance to get collected. From 5 to 1, I have Green Bay at number 5. I believe last week catapulted them into my top 5. San Francisco I have at number 4. Their loss to Seattle was it was gruesome. They did not look good. Number 3, I have New Orleans. I think their defense has improved. They beat Atlanta. Tampa Bay, they beat them last second. I figured I just have to stick them in there based on their merits, their offense, and their quarterback. Number 2, I have Seattle. 2-0. They looked really good against San Francisco, and then number 1, Denver. I can't go against them right now. I think they are easily the best team in the NFL. So, Brock, let's get back to your Defensive Player of the Year. Who are you picking?
A guy by the name of Robert Quinn from St. Louis. He's already got 4 sacks this year and 2 forced fumbles. He's playing in a really good defense there, and I think he could really shine. So, not being not a very defensive-minded guy, I had to look it up a little bit, had to do my research, but
it shows.
Whoa.
And also, Brock, we discussed the Trent Richardson trade. I wanted to know kind of what you thought about it and who you thought ultimately won the trade.
Really, I thought Cleveland did. I think nowadays it's tough for a running back to be, except for Adrian Peterson. I mean, you can't really carry a team. It's a quarterback-driven league. And now they have 2 chances with 2 first-round picks next year to hopefully get their guy, because Wheaton clearly isn't. So I think they got the better of the deal, but time will tell.
All right. Good points. Could you give us your top 5 power rankings?
Yes, start with 5. I got Houston. I think they're a very solid team, and they're playing like it. They're playing pretty decent football, especially with that comeback they had in Week 1. Number 4, Green Bay. They showed what they can do Week 2, and I'm looking for them to continue that. Number 3, San Francisco. Even though they got demolished, I think they're still one of the top teams, and it's really tough to beat Seattle at home. And speaking of Seattle, they are number 2. They kind of catapulted themselves above San Francisco with that win, and then with number 1, Denver, I still think they're the best team in the league, and number 1 on my power rankings.
All right.
Brock, we had the same exact top 5.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Is there any reason why Miami or Kansas City did not creep into any of our top 5s?
I don't think Miami's that good, really. I mean, who they beat? Cleveland, and who they beat Week 2?
Week 2, they beat, who did they beat? God damn it. Did they beat the Rams?
No, they didn't beat the Rams.
No,
but,
it was another lower level.
Yeah, I just don't think they're that good. Kansas City.
No, did they beat the Colts? They beat the Colts. That's who they beat.
That's
Okay,
right.
yeah.
It was the Colts. So, an okay team.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to talk more about Miami. I like Miami a lot.
Okay.
I think both teams have a lot to prove, but they both really haven't played anyone. They're not there yet for me.
I'd agree with you guys. They were kind of on the fringe for me. I know Miami has New Orleans coming up. They have Chicago, and this week they have Atlanta. So we'll really get to see what they're made out of. In Kansas City, I think they could be in the top 5 if they could pick up a win tonight, possibly. So that wraps up our power rankings for this week. I want to know what you guys thought about Week 2. Were there any surprises that you guys would like to talk about?
Go ahead, Spence.
Surprise is probably seeing the Giants fall to 0-2. I didn't expect that from Tom Coughlin team. They just don't look disciplined at all on either side of the ball. They're turning the ball over. It's just sloppy in the first 2 games. That's probably my number 1 thing right now.
My surprise was Seattle dominating San Francisco the way they did. I expected them to win. I picked them last week, but I didn't expect them to win by 26, especially with what Kaepernick did. To put up 3 points in that game, it surprised me, for sure.
I would definitely agree with that, Brock. San Francisco only having 207 yards of total offense after they almost put up 500 on Green Bay. That really shocked me. And then also, Phillip Rivers. He's making a little bit of a comeback. He's definitely had a reinsurgence with the new head coach and definitely looks like the Phillip Rivers of old. So
I agree.
I'm definitely intrigued to see what he could do. And he's definitely playing some good ball.
I agree. I'm going to bring him up a little later on in the show.
Oh,
Get some questions.
I like that. And then also, lastly, Tennessee looked really resilient against Houston. They didn't close it out this week. But I think Tennessee is going to be a lot more competitive, and their defense is much improved. So that was another
pleasant
surprise.
Even though I put Houston at 5th in the power rankings, they're a team that I'm a little scared about. I mean, both their games, they should have probably lost both their games. They fought back in the end, found a way to get the W. Not all that matters, I guess, in the NFL. But still, they're not proving that they're a top dog right now.
Right. I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at that. You either know how to come back and win those games, or
Exactly.
you're just not turning it on until the end. So
Yeah, but you play against a good team, you can't play like that. You're not going to be able to come back and win a game like that.
I totally agree. So any disappointments from Week 2, guys?
Mine was I was really obviously excited to see Green Bay's running game kind of emerge, but the fact that it wasn't Lacey, like obviously last week I picked him to be the rookie of the year, and Starks was the one that stepped up. So who knows? Maybe he's not even going to get a shot this year, being Lacey, being that Starks is healthy, fresh legs. So that was a little bit of my disappointment in a bright area that the Packers had that haven't had in a while. So I don't know, just.
I would stick with that game and talk about disappointment in RG3. I mean, you can tell he's not the same player from last year, and a lot of people are thinking if this team wants to have a chance at winning the NFC East, then maybe Kirk Cousins has to go on the game.
Okay, all right, and I am going to go to Baltimore.
Wow.
So,
all right.
So it's my turn to pick on the yellow bandana a little bit. Hopefully, I don't get booted, but I feel like I feel like I have merits. I mean, they were celebrating their championship on Sunday, and in the first half, they just didn't show up. They had 7 drives, 4 punts, 2 missed field goals, and that accounted for 34 plays for 137 yards. They just did not come out very sharp. They pulled it out at the end, which what is important, but I just expected a little bit more fire out of them, being in front of the home crowd the first time since winning their title. So that was my disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I can see what you're coming from. In the second half, totally different team came out, really just shut down the Browns completely on offense, and moved the ball very well.
And put up a whole 14 points.
Yeah, that's right, and that's all that matters. You got the W. By the way, if you look at that game, there's a lot of drops in that game. Also, you have Joe Flacco's wife has a kid that morning. Maybe his head wasn't all there right away, and then kind of turned it out at the end. A lot of different things going on there, but I feel like Baltimore is just getting hot at the right time.
A very apologetic Ravens fan, right there. He's loyal. I will say that. I'll give him credit for that. Are there any trends or oddities that we've seen in week 2? I know I noticed there was a lot of close games the first 2 weeks. I believe they were talking about how many close games were the first 2 weeks. Do you think that's something we're going to see throughout the whole year, or do you think it's just something that early on in the season we're seeing?
I sure hope so. It's fun to watch. I think it is going to be a trend, being that there's so many good players nowadays and so many good quarterbacks and different types of players and everything else and different ways to scheme. And anybody can beat anybody in the NFL, and that's what makes it great, I think. So I hope it's a trend.
And I would take a little – I mean, I hope it's not as much of a trend, I guess, because I'm more of a defensive player, and I like
blowouts.
I like seeing some people hit some people out there, and with these new rules, there's way too many fines. The passing game,
I agree with that.
Might as well play flag football. I mean, they can, no matter what, teams are putting up 400 yards, and we can't even hit the guys.
I agree.
I think a lot of football fans would agree with you on that one. I'm hoping it's going to be a trend. I just feel like as the season goes along, maybe some of these lower level tier teams just might not have that fight, but I'm hoping it will be a trend and just shows that the NFL is becoming more equally balanced. So, any other trends or oddities from you guys?
My Phillip Rivers point. 7 touchdowns in 2 games, only 1 pick, and I'm really curious if it is a trend because he's on my fantasy team behind Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't exactly look good, but at the same time, I almost have that feeling that week that I start Rivers, he's going to throw 4 picks, and Brady's going to tear it up. So, what do you think? Should I start him this week?
San Diego. Who do they have this week?
I believe they play Tennessee.
You're right. They do play Tennessee at Tennessee. I think Phillip Rivers is a trend. I, as well, am walking on eggshells with this, Brock. He's my backup quarterback in fantasy as well. I just feel like he does look better this year. So I don't really have a whole lot to base that upon. I don't think he has any more weapons this year than he has the last couple years. Eddie Royal has been a nice little surprise. He still has Gates. I just feel like with the new head coach, it maybe just gave him a little bit of extra energy, that new blood. So, what do you think, Spence?
I think go with Phillip Rivers. I think New England plays Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they do.
A lot better pass defense, and I just feel like all the weapons aren't back yet again.
Amendola's still hurt. All those guys dropping passes for him.
I mean, Revis is going to be guarding Edelman, so I mean, I don't really know. I would go with Rivers.
All right. We'll see. All right, what do
You
you
got
got,
anything
Spence?
for us, Spence?
Not really. I mean, I guess I could say I would like to see like Patrick Peterson, staying on offense. I hope that's a trend.
He threw a pass.
Yeah, he threw a pass for completion for about 20 yards and also caught a pass too. So, I mean, it's cool to see players like that playing both sides who are that athletic. So, I mean, I hope that's a trend.
That'd be cool.
I agree. That is definitely something fun to look out for, especially with a team like Arizona. I mean, they're definitely looking better this year with Carson Palmer at the helm, but any little bit of extra excitement, I guess, will help the fans there in Arizona. So we're moving on to our Cover 3's stats of the week. Just wanted to know anything interesting that you guys came up with this week.
To bring it back to the close games, this week there were 3 games decided by 1 point, and half the games in the league, 8, were decided by 4 points or less. It was just every game you turned to on the TV or looked up online was a nail biter to the end, and it was awesome. I loved it.
To piggyback on that, Brock, I seen a stat. I believe it was during the Monday Night Football game. 22 out of 32 games have been decided by 7 points or less in the first 2 weeks, and that's an NFL record. So,
wow,
pretty impressive.
That is.
What do you have, Spence?
I think it was 4 people that threw over 400 yards, and that's the first time ever in NFL history in 1 week. I thought that was pretty interesting to see where that league's kind of becoming more of a passing league.
Definitely is.
That's it.
Definitely is.
I as well will piggyback on Spencer's point. There's been 5 total 400-yard performances through the first 2 weeks. A little interesting fact, in 2005 there was only 2 total, and there was only 5 total 400-yard games in the decade of the 70s. So it just really shows in what direction our league is going. 400 yards just really isn't. It's still an impressive game, but it's not like it used to be.
People are saying 400 is the new 300.
I have heard that.
I don't know if I can go there yet. I mean, 400 yards is tough. That's not easy.
And especially if it's not in garbage time. If it's garbage time, your guy like Eli
garbage
Manning.
Time.
Like Eli Manning, he's down in the 4th quarter, so all you got to do is throw.
Oh,
I consider that kind of garbage time. So.
All right. I've never heard that reference before. So.
Oh, okay. So I want the camera to zoom in on Brock for this. I seen this interesting stat this week. A-Rod is projected to throw for 6,500 yards this season. Would that make you a happy fan or what?
I'd be pretty pissed off about it in the end. No, I'd be ecstatic. That would blow the record out of the water, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would quite a bit.
I don't even know what the record is, 5,100. I don't even know what it is. I'm not going to even ask or act like I do. But yeah, I'd love it. Hell yeah. Anytime a favorite player of mine gets a record, I'm happy about it. So
those are the Cover 3 stats of the week. We'd like to move on now to our Week 3 previews and storylines. Starting with tonight, what do you guys look to intrigue you tonight about tonight's game?
I'm excited for Andy Reid to come back home. Get to come back to Philadelphia, and I expect him to get a win there. I think they're the better team. I think Philadelphia doesn't have a defense that can stop them, and I expect Andy Reid to keep the ball in his guys' hands, maintain the clock for most of the game and slow down that offense of Chip Kelly's.
I agree. I think it's 2 pretty good offenses, really up-tempo and an exciting offense in Philadelphia, and a really efficient offense in Kansas City. But I think the difference is the defense in Kansas City, and that'll be what wins the game. And I think they'll pull it out.
I agree.
I'm looking for my matchup: Spread Eagle versus the Mustache.
Oh, what's the mustache? Oh, Andy, I got it.
And my other storyline is: Can Kansas City have enough time to prepare for this unique Philadelphia offense? I think they're going to do well tonight. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I'm not going to give you my pick yet, but Kansas City's defense is ranked in the top 10 in rush and in pass. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game.
It's my mustache, Andy Reid style, baby.
There you go. Let's go to Cincinnati. Are there any headlines or storylines that intrigue you guys there?
For me, it's just another Packer game I get to watch, but I don't know. Cincinnati's kind of one of those teams. They're still very young, and They had a chance to beat the Bears, but they turned the ball over quite a bit and ended up getting a win against the Steelers this last week, which I think the Steelers are one of the lower tier teams in the league. So we'll see which team comes out, which Bengal team. So that interests me.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it's are the Bengals ready to take that next step to be a team that can hang around in those games? Like you gotta crush Pittsburgh. You can't let them hang around in the first half like that. You have to win that game against Chicago. You're up 11 points and you give up 11-point lead in the second half. You're not gonna be able to do that against a team like Green Bay. So I'm interested to see if they can actually take that next step, and it's a good test for them, I guess.
Yeah, for me, Cincinnati has to keep the game in the 20s. If it gets into the 30s, I just don't see Andy Dalton and company being able to put up enough points. And I'm also looking to see if Green Bay can repeat that impressive run show that they showed against Washington. If they can have a consistent running game, this team is going to be right up there with San Francisco, Seattle, much to the liking of Brock Malik. And also, I want to see this pass rush of Cincinnati. They were ranked number 3 last year with 51 sacks in the league. I think they're going to need to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers this week, or it's going to be a long day. I think A-Rod could easily go for 350 this week if that doesn't happen.
400 again. Let's go.
He's calling it. You heard it here first.
Let's do it.
So we're heading to Baltimore here, and I want to get some things that interest you guys here in this matchup.
This is my favorite game. This is like my game of the week if I had to pick one. It's two teams that are kind of like upper echelon teams, but haven't quite like went out there and just grabbed it by the horns yet. In Baltimore and Houston. Houston just barely been getting by. Baltimore loses bad week 1 and then barely gets by in week 2. So it'll be really interesting, and it's your guys' favorite teams, right, Travis? This is your team this year you're going with?
Way to call me out on that, Brock.
I'm just saying.
I actually had a viewer ask me why I did not have a logo on my name last week. I wanted to try to remain neutral, but you called me out, Brock.
It's out there.
It's out there. Houston is my poll for this year.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be a great game.
So, Spencer, what do you think?
I'm excited. As you guys may know, Ray Lewis being inducted into the Ring of Honor for the Ravens. His number will be retired. No one will ever wear 52 ever again in a Raven uniform. And Ed Reed comes back to town. He's probably not even going to play, but it's a cool thing. He'll be able to see Ray there, and they'll be able to catch up a little bit. I'm excited for that. But yeah, and then Brock's exactly right. These are two teams that are always up there in the playoffs every single year, and I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a lot more defense than people think. But yeah, that's all I have for that. I won't, give you the spoiler of who's going to win yet, but we'll save that for later.
I want to know, Spence, do you think Ray Lewis gets in there pre-game and maybe riles up the dogs a little bit? What do you think?
See, that's what I'm saving for my pick because they're going to have a little extra motivation, I think, this week.
Wow.
I think Spencer Strand just said he will give us the pregame speech that Ray Lewis is going to give the squad. So
what if him and Ed Reed go at it? They're just like
that would never happen. It's interesting. Ed Reed said this week he's like everyone was trying to make a big deal like how do you feel like you're going back to Baltimore and all this stuff, and he's like I didn't come here to face Baltimore. I didn't circle this game on the schedule before the season. I really don't need to play. He's like I came here to play in the playoffs and to take this team to a Super Bowl. I have no reason to play the Ravens. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Interesting.
My thoughts on this game, I think we've outlined it throughout the show quite a bit about these two teams. They've been inconsistent. I want to see who can put a full game together, and I think it's going to come down to Schaub versus Flacco. I think both teams are going to try to neutralize the running games, and we'll see which quarterback pulls his team, which quarterback comes through. So
yep.
Yeah, Schaub has a lot more weapons, but I think Flacco will turn a lot of heads this week.
It'll be fun to watch.
All right. I'm also expecting Mr. J.J. Watt to wave his finger quite a few times this week against Flacco. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's talk about Miami and Atlanta. Can Miami get to 3-0? Can Atlanta put them in their place? What are some things that interest you in this matchup, guys?
I don't think this is going to be as interesting of a game as maybe you think. I just don't think Miami is as good as they've kind of as a 2-0 team. They've beat some pretty mediocre teams, and Atlanta. We've talked about they've got a lot of star players, so it'll be fun to watch. See if Atlanta can put them out. Grab it by the horns like we want to see Houston or Baltimore do.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this game. I actually think Miami is an underrated team. I think a lot of people don't think they're very good, but their defense is going to be one of the top 10 defenses by the end of the season. They're a tough defense. They play physical football, and I like what Tannehill's been doing. He's kind of as Richie Incognito said this week that he's got the locker room behind him. Like, this is his year. He's stepping up, and he's ready to go. So I'm really interested to see this matchup. I would say this game and the Baltimore game are probably my two games most interested in.
What I gotta say is everyone get your measuring sticks out, because we're gonna see what Miami's made out of the next couple weeks. Like I said earlier, this is Breezy's measuring stick game of the week, I guess you could say. But I'm just really interested that we hear so much about Luck, we hear so much about RG3, Russell Wilson, even Kaepernick. Are we gonna start to hear more about Tannehill? I mean, he's 2-0.
This would be the time to start doing it.
He starts to put together a good couple weeks. I think he could throw himself in there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this week will be a good week to show, are they a pretender or contender in the AFC East? I mean, if you look across the board, I think it's them in New England right now, and I could see them knocking them off. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I agree.
Wow. Yeah, I think Atlanta's nicked up. I know Jackson may not play, so this one's going to be on Matty Ice. I think it might be a little closer than you two are thinking, but I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on this one. Another game that we want to preview this week is San Francisco and in Indianapolis. Andrew Luck versus Kaepernick. What are your guys' thoughts?
Is Richardson going to play this week?
Yes.
He is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see, I guess, then how he fits early on in that offense and see, with Luck, obviously he can throw the ball well, and with them having somewhat of a running game, obviously it's going to take a couple weeks to get acclimated, but just to see how they want to use him, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Stanford boys. Luck taking on his old coach for the first time. It'll be interesting to see. But all in all, I think San Fran will take care of it pretty easily. I don't think it'll be that close.
I think Indianapolis is they just didn't luck out on this one. I think the Hurricanes coming, and they can probably see it. I think San Francisco is going to be angry after what happened Sunday night. And I'm interested to see how far Andrew Luck has matured. He's going to face a defense that is one of the best defenses in the league. And I want to see how Kaepernick bounces back from pretty much his first bad game of his career. He looked awful Sunday night, did not play well. So those are some things I'm looking forward to. But I think Indianapolis, it might be a long day for them.
I agree, definitely.
Yeah, Trav. I want to actually say something. I forgot about this, but
Sure.
Something that also intrigues me about this week is the Tennessee-San Diego game, because if you look at these guys, both these teams could have been easily 2-0. It could have been 2-0 versus 2-0. So I'm interested to see which team takes the next step and gets that win. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a nail biter all the way down the end.
I agree. That's pretty fun.
Very good point. Is there any other things you want to hash out, Brock?
I don't think so. Nope, not at the moment.
I know for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing Brady versus the Tampa Bay secondary, especially now that Golston isn't going to get suspended. I think Tampa Bay has a pretty stout secondary with Revis, Mark Barron back there, Golston, and the second corner is eluding me. But New England, as we know, they are decimated in their wide receiver core. I believe Brock and Spencer have gotten calls from Bill Belichick this week asking if they could possibly fill in.
I had to shut him down, but...
Yeah, I'd never wear a New England uniform.
Yeah, not a shot.
So that just kind of gives you a little inkling of where they're at this point. So I'm intrigued to see what happens there. So now we want to talk about some teams that maybe hadn't wrote their their season's out to be this way after 2 weeks. We want to talk about some of the 0-2 teams that you guys think might make the playoffs. If there's one team that you guys had to ride to the playoffs, who would you pick that's 0-2?
Mine would be Washington. I don't think RG3. I think he's going to get into the groove like he did last year, and they'll make a push. It's tough, especially as a young quarterback, to have no preseason, very limited practice, and come in right away week 1, week 2, probably even week 3, and be sharp. So I think eventually he'll come around. The speed will slow down for him, and they'll make a push.
Yeah, I think the speed's almost too slow right now. I don't think he can even go any faster with that leg. But I'm going to stay in the East with you, and I'm going to say the Giants. I think that division is always tight at the end there. We got 2 0-2 teams. We got 2 1-1 teams. Dallas not proven to be a team that can really take that next step, and neither is Philadelphia. So I think with the best chances, I would go with Tom Coughlin and his Giants. I think they can get back on track. They've been in this situation before. They've gotten to the playoffs, after going 9-7 or what. I think they have the best chance.
I'm going to just rehash what Spencer said. I'm going to go with New York for a lot of the same reasons. The leader in the East is 1-1, so they're only 1 game behind. In 2011, they lost 5 out of 6 when they won the Super Bowl. And in 2007, they also started 0-2. So they've been in this situation, and they've been okay. So if I had to pick a team, it would be New York.
All right, we're moving on here?
We are, Brock.
All right, we're moving on to the pick standings, week 1. It was a kind of, not a rough week for me and Travis, but we both ended up 3-2. And the cake for week 1 and the picks goes to Spencer Strand. 4-1. 4-1, so.
That hurts me a little bit.
Yeah, we'll be back. But anyways, the fantasy sleeper winner. Spencer picked 2 players, so I kind of just averaged it out. He picked Edelman, who to me really wasn't that much of a sleeper, so I just scratched him out.
Oh.
His other one was Kellen Winslow. Edelman had 16 points and Winslow had 3. I had Alshon Jeffries. He had like 4 points. So the fantasy sleeper winner is Travis Bentate. He had 12 points. Pretty solid week for backup running back, so it was a good pick. On to the bold prediction recap. Was it comical? Yeah, it kind of was, for me and Travis at least. I predicted that Flacco would have two picks, but the Ravens would still win. He didn't throw any picks. He didn't really play great. He had a touchdown, but they won. Travis predicted Wheaton would have a 100 quarterback rating. That sure as hell didn't happen. And Spencer predicted that Wheaton would have 3 picks and that the Browns would have less than 7 points. So he wins that one. The Browns had less than 7 points. So he wins 2 out of 3 categories. I'm pissed off about it. We'll be back strong next week. So.
Yeah, and maybe for our fantasy sleeper, we might have to write out some rules for this because I'm thinking this week I might pick 8 or 9 players.
Oh, 8 or 9.
All right, Trav. All right, calm down.
Rodgers is 1. I mean, come on.
So hopefully this week Spencer might come back to our playing field.
Hopefully he gets it.
You'll have to stay in. You'll have to stay tuned and see. So now we're gonna head to week 3 and we're gonna make some bold predictions and we're gonna pick some winners. So let's start with tonight's game. Kansas City at Philly. Who do you guys have and why?
I have Kansas City, like I said, defense. They got a better defense.
Yeah, I agree completely with what Brock said. Kansas City, I think that defense and the way Andy Reid play call style, I think they're gonna hold the ball a lot longer than people think, and I think Chip Kelly's offense not gonna have a lot of time out there.
I'm gonna go with you guys too. I know a lot of the national media is not going with Kansas City, but I think Kansas City's defense is gonna step up tonight, and I think Smith is gonna protect the ball. He hasn't thrown a pick yet this year, and I think they're going to control the clock.
Yeah, I think that secondary with Eric Berry and Brandon Flowers, they're going to have a tough time getting that ball to Deshaun Jackson. So with Macklin out, I mean, they're going to have a tough time, I think.
Let's go to Cincinnati, where we have Green Bay at Cincinnati.
Green Bay, I think they'll keep the running game going, and I expect Dalton to have a couple turnovers. So Green Bay again.
Yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay. I think it'll be a little closer than people think, but I think Green Bay is still the better team.
Up to this point, the picks might be anticlimactic, but I'm picking Green Bay. I think A-Rod's just going to be way too much for Cincinnati's O to keep up with. And like I said before, I think A-Rod's going to throw for about 350 this week. So that's not my bold prediction, but I could definitely see that happening. Now the game that I am looking forward to. Houston at Baltimore. Brock, what do you have to say?
You guys go ahead, because I know which one you guys are going to pick, and I'll be the tiebreaker.
Let's just say you might relish this segment.
Oh, wow, relish again.
All right, well, I'll just start it off, and I'm going to say Baltimore gets the win. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game. I think they have a little added motivation having Ray Lewis in the house. I'm sure he'll have some nice words to get them a little motivated for this game. And I look for Baltimore to win in a close game. I think their running games will be, kind of tied down with some good defense up front, that front seven from both teams. And I expect Torrey Smith and Joe Flacco to have a big week.
I'm going with No. Come on, man. I'm going with Houston.
Come on.
I think they're the more complete team at this point. Like I said, I think Mr. Watt has a big day, and I think Schaub shines. So I definitely expect Houston to pull this one out.
There's a lot weighing on this right now. A lot. Now I'm going to pick Houston. Like Travis said, I think they're more all-around a better team. And Baltimore being depleted from last year's team, it's going to show. This is besides Denver, this is their first real challenge. Cleveland. It's Cleveland. So Houston.
I really respect your opinion, Brock, on this one.
Thank you.
Especially. So.
Let me just add one more thing. I feel like with the first 2 weeks Houston's had, they've had to come back and get those wins when they should have probably lost. I think you're playing a tough team in Baltimore. I think if they get down early, they're going to maintain that run in Baltimore. It's going to have a tough time for them to get back in that game, so look for that.
Another name for America to look out for, DeAndre Hopkins. Had a huge game last week, and if he can develop that chemistry with Schaub, and they have two wide receivers of that magnitude, I'm not saying he's going to be like an Andre Johnson, but I think Houston could be that much more dynamic. Let's go to Miami. We have Atlanta at Miami. Who do you guys have?
I have Atlanta. Like I said, I just don't think Miami's that good.
I don't know how we're doing this, but I guess my upset pick is the Miami and Atlanta game. So I don't know I don't know how that was going to work, but yes, I'm picking Miami. I think Atlanta's defense is way overrated. I don't think they're very good. I think Miami will be able to move the ball quite well on them, actually, and under Joe Philbin's offense. And I think that defense is a lot better than a lot of people think. Steven Jackson's probably going to be out this week. They're not going to be able to run the ball. It's going to be a lot of pass. I think with Cameron Wake and Deion Jordan on the edge, I think they're going to get a good pass rush out of them. And I look for them to get that win and an upset.
Wow. I was actually on the fence with this one. I think it's going to be a little bit closer just because Atlanta is banged up. But I think Matt Ryan exposes the Miami pass defense, which is ranked 20th. I think Matt Ryan has a big day, and I see Atlanta pulling this one out. So now, since Spencer picked that as his upset pick of the week,
we're going to have to find something else. Yeah.
Right. You're going to have to come up with one more pick for this segment. So, Brock, who do you have for your upset special of the week?
No, this doesn't seem as much like an upset to me, which is kind of why I picked it. But when I looked up the whatever it's called, the Vegas thing, they had them. So I have Buffalo over the Jets. I don't know.
That is not an upset. Are you kidding me?
That's what did you pick last week?
Dude,
what did you pick last week?
Buffalo over the Jets?
What did you pick last week?
Jets are like the worst team in the NFL right now.
What did you pick last week?
I would actually have to side with Spencer. That is a little bit weak. But
Buffalo
Spencer last week probably
did
not pick an upset as well. So we're gonna lock that one in for Brock this week.
No, don't even lock it up.
Oh,
I'll do like Spencer. I'll have to pick another one then.
Yeah,
Fine.
pick another one.
Fine.
Okay, Spencer, you want to pick one, or do you want me to pick mine first?
You can pick yours first.
I am definitely going out on a limb here, but I think Tampa Bay is going to beat New England at Foxborough.
Okay.
I think Tampa Bay secondary halts that pass a little bit, and I think they squeak out a win on the road like they haven't been able to close out the first 2 weeks. I think they get it done this time, and they rally around Josh Freeman. That's definitely bold. So I want to hear what you guys have.
All right, let's see here. Just Raiders over the Broncos. Just go way over the top.
Oh, are you locking that one in, bro?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Rams again over the Cowboys. How's that? Bold enough?
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
I was
God. Don't ever call me out again, Spence. I swear.
Sorry, dude. It wasn't a real upset pick. But I was going to take the St. Louis one, but since you're going to go with that, I'm going to take Tennessee over San Diego.
Okay. I like both those picks.
Wait, what did you pick again, though, last week, Spence? Say it again.
I don't remember who I picked last week,
You
to be
picked
honest.
Philly over San Diego.
Oh, my God.
Well,
So-
I think that's way more of a reasonable pick than Buffalo over New York, dude.
Buffalo's got a young quarterback. Whatever, let's move on.
New York has a veteran quarterback.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
Next week, we're definitely going to get this hashed out.
Yeah,
Those are our upset picks of the week. Now, what fantasy sleeper you guys like? Who's going to put up the big points this week?
I think Alex Smith has a big day on a not a very good Eagles defense.
Spence only one pick this week.
Yeah, I know. I guess I'm going to go with Bernard Pierce in Baltimore. I think with Ray Rice being a little banged up, I think they're going to run him a little bit more with Ray Rice, dual back system. But I think he'll have a big day. You know, he came in after Ray Rice went down last week and had a touchdown, had about 50 yards. So I'm going to look for him.
All right. I'm calling out my Harry Douglas out of Atlanta. I think he has a big game because Roddy White is recovering from that ankle injury. I think they're gonna pass it quite a bit this week, so I think him and Julio have a big game. But my fantasy sleeper of the week, Harry Douglas.
I like it.
Let's hear a bold prediction out of you two.
I struggled with this kind of. Like, I didn't really know where to go with it. But basically, I think EJ Manuel has a pretty big game over the Jets. I think he gained confidence after that, game-winning drive he led him to last week. So I think he has a pretty big game.
So,
you want to give us some numbers, maybe?
yes,
Or?
if you could give us like a stat line, maybe yards, touchdowns, something of that sort.
God. Hey, let's go big. Let's say 3 touchdowns. Let's go huge with them. Let's go huge.
All right.
I like that. My
Get
pick
bold on
is I'm going to say that the Ravens put up over 100 yards rushing on Houston Texans.
We're going to say everything about the Ravens, every bold prediction, or what?
No, dude. I just think that a lot of people don't expect them to put up that much yards on a Houston defense like that, but I see it happening.
Once again, this is not a Ravens show, everyone.
Yeah.
My bold prediction of the week is Stafford and Breeze throw for 400 yards.
Wow.
I think Stafford has a monster game, and I think Breeze does too. So 400 yards, lock it in for those two.
Wow.
Is there anything else you guys want to say before we close out this show?
A lot of technical difficulties leading up to it and during it even, but we knocked it out.
Yeah, thought it was a great show. I look forward to next week. Go Kansas City.
Let's do it. Go Kansas.
I as well felt like today was definitely a good show, and looking forward to the rest of the season. And Spencer, I'm hunting you down in those pick standings. So
all right, yeah.
Well, he can't be cheating.
I'm the top dog so far.
Picking upset picks and stuff that isn't really upsets.
Buffalo
I tried to do
over
it this
New
week
York.
That's
the worst pick I've ever heard of.
I tried to get one over on you. You guys caught me. All right.
All right.
Hey.
All right, guys. We're gonna finish this discussion off air, but I want to thank you once again for choosing Cover 3. Who needs man-to-man when you can choose Cover 3? We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.